For more now on President Xi Jinping's speech and reaction, we're joined by Scott Kennedy. He's an expert on Chinese business and economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Scott, welcome.
Happy to be here.
So there were a lot of serious issues that President Xi Jinping addressed, and there were some lighter moments as well. But first, I want to get your reaction to the serious things he talked about, the economy, the stock market, and as we heard what he said about cybersecurity.
Sure. So I think that he set the right tone. He obviously was responding to a lot of criticisms and concerns that people have raised over the last few months about Chinese behavior and policies. So he touched on everything from China's market access issues, cyber, the renminbi, security issues, and tried to basically provide reassurance. Now, I think he made some progress, but he also has a lot of work to do during the rest of his trip, and particularly when he comes here to Washington to finish the sale on each of those issues.
And how do you think that speech went with the business leaders in Seattle?
Well, again, I think it set the right tone, as well as style, not just substance. And I think they wanted to be reassured that China's market is open, that reforms are going to continue, that we shouldn't expect the volatility going forward that we've seen the past few months. But they still have a variety of doubts. Commerce Secretary Pritzker was the most direct about those concerns. And so I think they're going to wait until the visit is completed for them to draw a full conclusion.
And the tone you mentioned, it was a very upbeat, positive tone, wasn't it?
Sure. Xi Jinping, you really saw his personality. He's witty. He used literary references, showed his experience from the Cultural Revolution and how that guides him today. And he also wanted to convey a positive message, not only responding to potential criticisms, but mentioning China's hope of achieving the China dream and putting those all together. He still was, checking off each of the things that people have worries about, and that's still going to be what he's going to do the rest of today, tomorrow when he arrives in Washington, and on Friday.
I really found it remarkable, and I know I'm not the only one, because we heard references about House of Cards, about Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea. Who knew? It's President Xi Jinping's favorite book. The 1993 blockbuster movie Sleepless in Seattle, saying it was that movie that made the city a household name in China. This is a side of President Xi Jinping often not seen in public.
Yes. When he first took power in November of 2012 and came out with the rest of the Politburo Standing Committee and gave a few words, we knew that he was different from the gentleman that he replaced, Hu Jintao. And privately, he is like this, and on his visits, he shows that side. But Americans haven't seen this in public very often. And so, he's in some ways his best salesman rather than spokespersons for the foreign ministry and others.
So Scott, when he comes to Washington, D.C., what do you think will be the biggest challenge for these two countries that clearly have so much in common and have worked together on so many different issues?
Sure. So I think there's going to be two things that he's going to want to address more deeply. The first is what is the direction of Chinese economic policies in terms of reform, the stock market, the renminbi, what are the details of that so that fill in a lot of the blanks that still exist. And secondly, the United States is an Asia-Pacific power. It's not planning to leave the Asia-Pacific. What reassurances can he provide that the U.S. remaining in Asia economically, militarily, are consistent with Chinese interests to continue to protect the peace that has existed in the region since World War II? And
specifically, what kind of assurances is he looking for from the Obama administration?
Sure. Well, there's concerns among some Chinese, not necessarily expressed by him directly, about what are the motives for the U.S. in East Asia. Is the U.S. out to contain China? That's often raised by some. That's not U.S. policy is explained by here, and I'm sure that the president will try and reassure President Obama that that is not the U.S. motives and that there's reasons for China and the U.S. to work together on military issues and other areas in the region.
We'll see what happens. Scott Kennedy, thank you so much.